Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Shauna Tonkin, the Education Director here at Pacific Aviation Museum Pearl Harbor. We're so glad that you came to join us today for the Blackened Canteen Youth Symposium. Today, we have a unique opportunity to learn the lessons of the Blackened Canteen, the story of a World War II event that demonstrates courage, forgiveness, reconciliation, and friendship. 10 years ago, this very day, the museum opened its doors for the first time. Our founders envisioned a place where the stories of pioneers and heroes would be preserved for generations to come, so that young people may learn from the past in order to forge a more peaceful future. Today's event embodies our founding purpose and brings together students from Japan and the US to share their insights about peace. Throughout the fall, students from Nagaoka, Japan and Kamehameha Schools on Oahu studied the story of the Blackened Canteen that you see here in front of you. And they considered the lessons that we should learn from an incident that happened so long ago. As a result, each group has prepared a thoughtful essay that will be presented today. Last evening, these students met with Dr. Hiroya Sugano, the steward of the Blackened Canteen, and Captain Jerry Yellin, World War II pilot and author of the book about this incident. During our symposium, Dr. Sugano and Captain Yellin will tell us how the Blackened Canteen has influenced their lives, teaching them lessons of peace and reconciliation. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to our symposium facilitator, Dr. Maya Soetoro-Ng. Dr. Soetoro-Ng is a specialist and will soon become the director of the Spark Matsunaga Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution at the University of Hawaii. She is the co-founder and board president of a nonprofit called Our Public School, which works to connect public schools to communities that surround them. She's also created Seeds of Peace, a program of peace education that develops collaborative action plans for peace with educators, family, and community leaders. So you can see she's the perfect facilitator for this symposium today. She has an MA in secondary education from New York University and a PhD in multicultural education from the University of Hawaii, and extensive experience in cross-cultural and multinational education. Dr. Soetoro-Ng is also the author of the book Ladder to the Moon, which was inspired by her mother and her daughters. Dr. Soetoro-Ng.
Mahalo, arigato gozaimasu, thank you, welcome, aloha everyone. You know, this is a big honor for me. As part of a delegation to go to Okinawa 3 years ago, I went to the Peace Memorial there in Okinawa. And it is a place where, if some of you have been, the names of those who were lost in the Battle of Okinawa are inscribed on stone walls around the memorial. And they look out past the point where Japanese soldiers jumped off the cliff rather than be captured. And it is a place of bloodshed and of sadness, of mourning, of melancholy, of great loss. But here now are the names not only of the Okinawans who lost their lives, but on that wall are also the names of the Americans, the Australians, the Europeans, and others, in recognition that because the losses are shared, so too is the responsibility to spread peace from that point, beyond the jumping off place, beyond the place of bloodshed and sadness, across the Pacific to other parts of the world. And they take that responsibility very seriously. And so too do we here in Hawaii, in this place where we have a sacred opportunity to understand each other's perspectives with depth, to hear each other's stories with clarity, and to build and spread empathy through doing so. And it is a tremendous honor for me to be part of this. There is an Indonesian phrase, cuci mata, means to wash the eyes. And it is something that is used very often to signal the need at the end of a long work week to get a new perspective and to refreshen our spirits. But I think of it in a different way, as something that asks us to revisit who we are as people. What are our responsibilities to our communities, to our country, and to our world? To wash our eyes requires that we really understand the other person's point of view, that we understand our own power to build peace, to do good, and that we understand our mandate in a world that is not without perils, to be bridge builders with everyone for the purposes of peace. And so it is without further ado that I would like to introduce Dr. Hiroya Sugano. He is a kidney specialist from Shizuoka, Japan, and the Director General of the Zero Fighters Admirers Club. He was a child during the bombing raid of Shizuoka on June 20th, 1945, and visited the crash site the following day, but found no survivors. He has never forgotten the death and destruction that surrounded him that day and that he witnessed firsthand, but he also saw courage, benevolence, and outreach from Mr. Fukumatsu Ito, the originator of the Blackened Canteen Ceremony, and he became the keeper of the canteen after Mr. Ito's death. Since 1972, Dr. Sugano has personally funded and hosted the annual ceremony held at the monuments in Shizuoka and has conducted similar ceremonies in Japan and the United States. 2016 marks the 16th year that Dr. Sugano has attended the December 7th commemoration at Pearl Harbor. With the official recognition and support of the National Park Service, Dr. Sugano has been able to share this powerful story with visitors from all around the world. He is someone who will help us to wash our eyes and see more clearly, and I would like to welcome him to the stage with gratitude. Dr. Sugano?
ご列席の皆様、ご苦労様です。本日私がお話ししたいのは、日米親善ひいては世界平和を願っての小さな歴史です。日本軍の真珠湾攻撃の時、私は8歳でした。当時は日本海軍の戦果に驚き興奮しましたが、あんなでかい国と戦争をして大丈夫かなとちょっと不安も感じました。不安は現実となり、4年後私たちの静岡市は B29-130 機による大空襲で全市が焼け、約2000人の市民が亡くなりました。この時の体験は長くトラウマとなって残りましたが、なんとか頑張って医者になって静岡へ戻った時に、静岡の浅間神社の山頂静畑山に空襲の静岡市民の供養の観音像と墜落した空中衝突で墜落した B29 搭乗員の慰霊碑があるのを知りました。この2つのモニュメントを建てた伊藤福松さんは、死んでしまえば敵も味方もないと慰霊をされていたのですが、以前私の祖父から日露戦争の時軍医として出征した経験の話をしてくれましたが、敵味方の区別なく負傷兵の手当てをしたと聞かされていたので、多分私の DNA が目覚め、アメリカの人たちも呼んで日米合同慰霊祭をやりましょうと提案しました。1972年以来 このセレモニーを続けていますが、23名の B29 搭乗員の誰かの遺品の焼け焦げた黒い水筒に入れたバーボンウイスキーを検出することが式典のハイライトとなりました。そして1991年真珠湾攻撃50周年の時からこの水筒を持参してアリゾナメモリアルで検視をしています。これには年を重ねるごとにフェイズ閣下をはじめ日本、ハワイ、ひいては世界中から大勢の方々がサポートしてくださって、これは私にとっては何よりの喜びとともにこの式典を続けていくための原動力になっております。いつも式典で私は最後に日米親善、世界平和を願っていますというご挨拶をしておりますが、この気持ちはいつでも変わりません。このような行事が行われるについて、米海軍の方々の深いご理解と三沢総領事のご努力に心から敬意を申し上げます。改めて国際親善、世界平和を祈り、さらにご列席の皆様方に神仏のご加護がありますようにお祈りいたします。Thank you.
Our next speaker is Captain Jerry Yellin, an Army Air Corps veteran who enlisted as an aviation cadet 2 months after the bombing of Pearl Harbor on his 18th birthday. After graduating from Luke Airfield as a fighter pilot in August of '43, he spent the remainder of the war flying P-40, P-47, and P-51 combat missions in the Pacific with the 78th Fighter Squadron. He participated in the first land-based fighter mission over Japan in 1945 on April 7th, and also has the unique distinction of having flown the final combat mission of World War II on August 14th, 1945. On that mission, his wingman, Philip Schlomberg, was the last man killed in combat mission in World War II. Following the war, Jerry suffered from PTSD, but coped through transcendental meditation, among other things, and he continues to promote meditation strongly today. In 1988, Jerry's youngest son married the daughter of a former kamikaze pilot. His son and daughter-in-law live in Japan, and Jerry now has 3 grandchildren. And the hands continue to reach out and hold one another. He is the award-winning author of 4 books of War and Weddings, The Blackened Canteen, The Resilient Warrior, and The Letter. Welcome and thank you.
My life changed dramatically in 2005. Before that, for 30 years or more, from December 7th, 1941, until my son married on May 5th, 1988, I had a deep hatred of people that I'd never known, the Japanese people. And today, my family is the family of the world. It's important to know from me, who served in the military, that we as human beings are all exactly the same. We're not Americans, we're not Japanese, we're not Jews, we're not Christians, we're not Buddhists. We are all human beings. And you, of the younger age, have a responsibility of making sure that the world knows that. Because we have in science invented nuclear warfare. And should nuclear bombs ever be used anywhere in the world, the Earth will not be able to sustain life. We can literally commit suicide for the Earth. In 2005, I was asked to go to Japan by NHK, Japanese Public Television. And I went there. My son Robert was living in Numazu, and the NHK interviewed us. Dr. Sugano heard that interview and called my son Robert and asked him to come to the Blackened Canteen Ceremony in June of 2005. The next year, 2006, I was invited by Dr. Sugano to come to Japan to go to that ceremony. And I stood on that mountain, I held the canteen, I poured whiskey on the monument, and I felt that there was something missing. And that was a monument to the names of the 23 Americans who were killed. I went back home, I reached out to a young man who's here today, Jim Bellalo, and asked him how much it would cost to put a monument on top of Mount Shizahata with the names of the 23 Americans. And he said, it won't cost you anything, we'll just do it. In 2008, that monument was established. I also felt that the story of peace and healing that Mr. Ito created, when he did what he did, found the Blackened Canteen, and helped to bury the bodies, the remains of the Americans, he was put in jail by the Japanese government for giving comfort to the enemy. When he got out of jail, he became a Buddhist priest and began the ceremony. And one time he was asked, why did you do that? And he said, in my belief, in my religious thoughts, I felt that people who are not buried within 50 years properly, they come back as they died. And I did not want to see people coming back as warriors, bombing other people. So he was a man of peace. And we today must dedicate ourselves to becoming people of peace. We as human beings must go beyond language we talk, the country that we live in, the color of our skin, or our beliefs. In 1936, when I was 12 years old, I read newspapers in America about racial problems, about people in other countries willing to kill other people for what they believe. And we have same headlines today in our world. Racial problems in America and other places. Religious problems, people willing to kill other people for what they believe. Our country in 1945 made a decision. They didn't occupy or conquer the conquered nations of Italy, Germany, and Japan. They used American ingenuity and American funding to rebuild those countries into the democracies that exist today. Strangely enough, the two countries that were our allies in World War II, Russia and China, seemingly today are the enemies of the world. And America has great friends in Japan, in Germany, and in Italy. All were enemies at one time. Peace and healing is foremost in my thoughts. It should be foremost in your thoughts. And the only way that that can happen is if you reach out to other people who are different than you, so that they can understand that we all are exactly the same as human beings. Dr. Sugano does that. The Blackened Canteen Ceremony does that. Iwo Jima, the Reunion of Honor, does that, and we must continue forever. Thank you very much.
I'd like to now call Kamehameha student Makoa to come and present the students. Your voices are so important, and I'm very grateful for all of your efforts to build bridges.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Makoa Kateres. I'm here today with students from both the Kamehameha Schools Kapa'alama as well as Nagaoka, Japan. For the last few months, we all have read The Blackened Canteen written by Captain Yellin, engaged in discussions regarding the lessons present in the book, and synthesized our thoughts in an essay which we will share with you today. Reading the essay written by the Nagaoka students is Airi Watanabe. Next, presenting the essay written by the Kamehameha Schools students is Kiana Davis. Let's give them a round of applause, please.
私たちが今後の未来を担う黒焦げの水筒の学びを受け継ぐ若い世代として重要だと思うことが3つある。それは和解を慎重に進めること、平和に向けてアクションを起こす勇気を持つこと、そして異文化について知ることの価値だ。1つ目として、和解を進める際は結果だけでなくその過程も重要だ。和解は結果としてはいいことだが、その過程にはリスクがあると考える。多くの人は和解と聞くと真っ先にプラスのイメージを持つだろう。例えば、話し合いが容易になる、遺品が遺族に戻る、そして安全に暮らせることだ。しかし私たちはこの本を読んで、一つの和解が全ての人に当てはまるわけではないことに気づいた。なぜならそれはそれぞれ立場や経験が違うと和解の捉え方も違い、同じ和解でもそれが共通認識ではない可能性があるからだ。それを理解せず一つの和解を強要するとすれ違いが起きるリスクがあると考えた。だからこそ和解について考える際には慎重に進めていくことが大切である。そうすることで過去を受け入れ、未来へ前進するきっかけになる。2つ目として、ピースメーカーとして求められる勇気は様々だ。まずは伊藤福松さんがアメリカ兵の遺体を敵味方関係なく埋葬した勇気だ。これは敵味方関係なく兵士の魂を鎮める最良の方法だ。彼は周りの人から疎まれることを分かっていても自分の信念を貫き、そして慰霊祭を開催し継続する勇気を持っていた。次に全員が持てる勇気だ。先入観を持たず正しい判断、行いをする勇気。例えば差別をしないこと、復讐をすることではなく許し合う勇気、自らの無知を認め自分たちの常識を疑う勇気。以上が先人たちの勇気である。私たちが持てる勇気は平和に向けて活動、行動する勇気である。例えばかつて敵国同士だった私たちがこうしてホノルルを訪れ、平和に向けて友好関係を築くことである。最後として、異文化間での友好関係を築くことの価値は知ることにあると考える。例えばこの本の内容も私たちにとっては異文化であり、この本を読むこと自体が私たちにとって異文化を知ることである。今こうしてアメリカ人であるあなたたちと日本人である私たちが本を通して話し合うことで和解への道を進んでいるのは明らかだ。さらに相手のことを知ることによって無知による犠牲を減らすことができる。戦争当時、アメリカと日本の国民はお互いをよく知らないにもかかわらず憎しみ合っていた。もしもお互いのことを知ろうとし歩み寄る姿勢をみんなが持っていたとしたら、伊藤さんが米兵を埋葬したことも日本人から非難されることはなかったのかもしれない。異なる文化の存在を知り、それを理解しようと試みることは友好関係を築くことにつながり、それが和解への一歩となり得るのではないだろうか。私たちが本を読んで伝えていくべきことは、リスクと利益を考慮し和解の結果を求めるのではなく、過程も重要であるということだ。また平和の使者として求められる勇気を備えること、そして異文化間での交流によって相手を知ることだ。これらを踏まえ心を開き、先入観を持たず、この本で得た知識やこの場で感じたことを身近な人への発信から始め、私たちは平和の使者としての一翼を担う。 Thank you very much.
あ
Velina ke aloha e no hoa maka maka ka aina kaulana o Japana. He wahi leo aloha keia ya oko, e noho a ho'oloha I keia ha'i o loa mākou. Welcome and aloha to our friends from the famous lands of Japan. With our voice of love for you, we share our thoughts with you in this speech. With the rising of Makali'i, the Pleiades constellation in our sky, our kupuna, or ancestors, left the season of Ku, the god of war, and entered the season of Lono, the god of peace. In this time, we call Makahiki, literally from the beginning, referring to the start of the new year. For a full 4 months, all fighting and war ceased, as well as all manual labor, farming, and fishing. This stormy, wintry season of the year was a time of rest for the body as well as the land, to re-energize both for the upcoming spring planting and fishing season. This time of peace ensured productivity through games of skill and acumen, and a time to reflect on all of their blessings, while helping to manage and distribute the bounty of the land and the sea that was collected during the harvest. It is in the spirit of Lono I Makahiki, Lono, the god of the Makahiki season, that we welcome our Japanese friends to Hawaii. We hope that you will enjoy your Hawaiian season of peace, reflecting an appreciation during this time here in our beloved homeland. Today, we are gathered here because of the tremendous impact such a small artifact has made among our Japanese and American communities. The Blackened Canteen has generated a ripple effect, and today is much more than a war relic, but instead a symbol of hope. From that great loss, suffering, and tragedy can come reconciliation, peace, and lasting friendship. On June 24th, 1945, 123 American bombers took off from the island of Guam for an attack on Shizuoka, Japan, at the foot of Mount Fuji. The raid destroyed 2/3 of the city, taking the lives of 2,000 of its citizens. 23 American airmen also died when 2 of their planes collided in midair. That these 23 men were enemy soldiers mattered little to one Japanese person who had buried their remains next to the graves of the Shizuoka citizens killed in the attack, and erected a memorial for them there. Mr. Ito, a citizen of Shizuoka, after burying these American airmen, began holding a ceremony at their gravesite until his death. Since then, Dr. Sugano has honorably continued those annual memorial services. Today, we recognize the special honor and duty we have to carry on the legacy of the Blackened Canteen, and we thank Dr. Sugano and Captain Yellin for entrusting us with this special obligation during the 75th commemoration of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Mr. Ito and Dr. Sugano's simple act of returning each year to the Shizuoka Memorial to conduct the Blackened Canteen Ceremony offers us inspiration and hope, as well as a humble example of authentic leadership. Mr. Ito was a leader who saw suffering not in terms of American suffering or Japanese suffering, but the suffering of mankind and humanity. Although it was against the wishes of his community, he did what he knew was right by his fellow man, to allow them a journey into the next life peacefully and respectfully. His act of selflessness, kindness, and love was the first step his community needed to heal. Forgiveness leads to healing, which allows humanity to move forward and ensure a better future for generations to come. Being the first to model forgiveness for others, Mr. Ito was able to create a path of reconciliation that both Shizuoka families and American families needed to find peace. The Blackened Canteen offers us the opportunity to honor and recognize new heroes and role models, who, through their quiet acts of humility, help to ensure a peaceful future. Mr. Ito, Captain Yellin, and Dr. Sugano are all peacemakers. They've shown us what it means to be courageous and do what is right regardless of a person's background. As peacemakers in training, their efforts provide us a roadmap to become the next generation of leaders to serve the world. First told in the novel, those who perform acts of kindness without expectation of reward receive the greatest reward of all, immortality. So how do we learn valuable lessons such as respect, humility, responsibility, courage, and help? We learn it because one generation passes it on to the next through constant modeling and mentoring until one day we are adults, and we find that we're saying the same things to our children that our parents said to us. The ultimate question before us today is this: how does our generation ensure peace, friendship, and the respect between our two nations, Japan and the United States of America, become immortal, underlying values for future generations? We will do this as our parents and ancestors have done by always remembering and continuing to mentor others and modeling valued behaviors as leaders of the next generation. We will continue the symbolic act of Mr. Ito, passing on the torch of immortality to Dr. Sugano. we symbolically take the torch today and pledge to pass it on to our peers, our family, and the future generations. For friendships to occur between two nations, we cannot see each other as Japanese or Hawaiians or even Americans, but as people. We are more alike than we are unalike, a realization that comes only through deep reflection, building and maintaining strong relationships and understanding without judgment. Dr. Sugano and Mr. Ito's actions teach us to do just that, to value respect and peace rather than anger and retaliation, and to be peacemakers. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with us. In conclusion, we wish our new Japanese friends all the best for a successful and prosperous future. We thank you for your friendship, and we welcome you to our home with open arms again in the future. We, the hosts and organizers of this youth symposium, we also ask you for this tremendous opportunity. With humble thanks we say, mahalo nui loa ia o kou pakahia pau.
We would just like to thank every one of you for listening to our essays that we worked really hard on, and hope that you have learned a great deal and the lessons that we also learned through reading the Blackened Canteen. And we thank those who allowed us and invited us to come here and gave us this opportunity to learn these really valuable lessons. So, mahalo.
Mahalo. That was beautiful, stunningly so. I want to highlight a couple of things that I heard. One was the importance of courage, moral courage. I think of courage as being very different now than I did when I was 20. When I was 20, courage was just jumping out of a plane or taking a thrilling ride on a roller coaster. But now it is walking on a long, dusty, hot road and persisting with love and determination when things get tough, when there are impediments, things in our way, when we're hungry or thirsty or in need of kindness and none is forthcoming. And I see that the young people here participating have a lot of moral courage, of the sort that will allow them to continue to build peace. I also appreciated the recognition that we are here because of a place that was harmed, but also a place that allows us to resurrect understandings of beauty and power and the commitment that comes from humanity and compassion. And so I really appreciate the knowledge that it is through place-based and culturally responsive and outreach that we will make progress. I am now very pleased to not only congratulate you, but to invite those of you who are in the audience, especially the young people, to ask questions of any panel member, young or older. And I would like to ask, please come up and share your questions. And whoever will be answering can perhaps come to the podium to give their response.
Hello, I'm Xiaomi. I'm from Niigata Prefecture. Can I speak Japanese? Okay. 今日はいろいろお話聞かせていただいてありがとうございました。質問なんですけど、これから長岡とホノルルの関係っていうのが世界中の町にとって平和都市としての在り方が広まっていくためには長岡とホノルル両都市でどんなことができるっていうのを考えているのかなっていうのをできれば皆さんに聞きたいなと思うので、質問がちょっと難しいかもしれないんですけどよろしくお願いします。
大変ブラックエンドキャンティーンを、皆さん熱心に、関心を持ってくださってありがとうございます。私のささやかなあるいは伊藤福松さんの行為が、大変 正しく評価されて大変嬉しく思います。ただ昨今の世界情勢というのは、私は宗教家ではありませんけども、戦争が起こるのは領土の問題と、本来人を救う、あるいは人が頼りにする宗教がちょっと違うということだけで戦争が起こってしまっている。世界各地の半分は宗教戦争じゃないかと思います。でやはりたとえ今話した宗教一つにとっても、お互いが相互理解をし合えば戦争は避けられるんじゃないかと思います。そういうようなこと、宗教ばかりでなくて国が違う、民族が違う、それはランゲージバリア、あるいはフィロソフィーの違い、あるいは習慣の違い、こういうものは国家間で違いがあるのは当然なんです。でこれらは一つ誤ると戦争のもとになるんで、それを防ぐためには国が違い、民族が違い、宗教が違うような人たちが常にコミュニケーションを良くしてお互いを理解し合い、そして初めて世界平和ができるんではないか。ブラック&キャンティンセレモニーもその一歩だと思っております。ありがとうございました。
Hi, I'm Riley Kalihiki from St. Mark's Lutheran School, and I have a question for Jerry Yellin. I just wanted to know how it felt knowing your son was going to marry a woman that her father was against you in the war.
I was asked to go by the Bank of America, Bank of California, Wells Fargo Bank, to go to Japan in 1983. And Japan was not a place I wanted to visit, and the Japanese were not people. And I came home, and I told my wife, Helene, that I turned down an opportunity to go to Japan. And she pointed her finger at me. She said, "You never asked me if I wanted to go to Japan." So in October 1983, I went to Japan. And it was an astounding, unbelievable experience of seeing the people that I fought against as human beings. We were on the Ginza Daiichi Hotel. We walked out on Sunday morning. Little boys and girls gave me V for victory. I felt so overwhelmed that I had to do my business and go away from the city, because I looked through the big buildings and I saw the B-29s dropping bombs, and they were dropping bombs on me, not on the Japanese people. And on the last night that we were in Japan on that trip, Helene said that Robert, our youngest son, would love Japan. Let's give him a trip for graduation. So we did that. And he went to Japan for 6 weeks homestay, graduated from San Diego State in the spring of 1984. Didn't know what he wanted to do, so he took a job teaching English in Japan for 1 year. And in 1987, he asked us to come to Japan. And he said, we met a young lady, Takako Yamakawa Takako, and he said that they wanted to get married. And I saw the faces of the 16 young men that I flew with in World War II were killed. 5 in accidents and 11 in combat over Japan. But fortunately, I had the presence of mind to ask him, what does her father say? And he said, he won't meet me. 7 months later, there was a meeting between my son Robert, Mr. Yamakawa, 2 of his 3 sons, and Takako. And the 2 boys grilled my son mercilessly about his ability to support their sister, about his spiritual background, his education, and made him promise out loud that if the wedding took place, he would never, ever move their sister to America to live. And then the father asked my son 5 questions. How old is your father? 63. Was he in the war? Yes. What did he do? He was a pilot. What did he fly? P-51s. Where? Over Japan. And that ended the meeting, and he went home and told his wife, make the wedding. She went ballistic, crazy ballistic. For 43 years, she screamed at him. You've been telling me how much you hate the Americans. that you never fired a bullet against them. You didn't die for your emperor. Why do you want our daughter to marry this guy, Jin? Why? And he said, any man that could fly a P-51 against the Japanese and live must be a brave man, and I want the blood of that man to flow through the veins of our grandchildren. That is a tribute to this man, to the Japanese culture, the Japanese education. And on March 5th, 1988, we went to a Japanese ceremony at the Mishima Taisha, and we became family. 3 days later, Mr. Yamakawa and I went to the Ryokan Arai, in Shimoda. And for 3 hours, we sat in a hot onsen with a translator. And when we were finished talking, he said to the translator in Japanese, I never knew that there were other people in the world that thought the same way about everything that's important in life, family, education, religion. And that was told to me in English. And we bonded, we became family. I couldn't speak Japanese, he couldn't speak English, but we became family. Changed my life, changed his life. It should change your life, because you're no different than anybody else in the world, just because you can't understand them. Answer your question? Thank you so much.
I'm Nathaniel Ayu, and I'm from St. Mark's Lutheran School, and I have a question for Dr. Sugano. I would like to know how it felt when the responsibility of the Blackened Canteen fell on your shoulders.
責任というよりも、これで何か義務みたいなものを感じました。むしろデューティーという。でこの水筒の持ち主のパイロットも亡くなった時にどんな思いをしたのか、あるいはひょっとしたらご自分の家族に自分が死んだということを知らせてほしいということも考えられたかもしれないし、こういうことをすることによっていくらかでも亡くなったこのパイロットの気持ちというのを皆さんにお知らせしたいという気持ちです。だから責任という、今すごく責任を感じています。ここまで大きなセレモニーになってしまって、今はすごく責任を感じますけども、初めにこのセレモニー、ブラック・キャンティーンセレモニーをやった時に、何とかしてこの亡くなった兵士の気持ちを伝えたいという、そういう気持ちです。
Those are important words. You've obviously inspired many people, and Kiana was speaking about the importance of modeling. And we know that modeling actually does more than teaching. That when we see examples of humility and integrity and kindness, we learn in ways that being told to be humble or kind can't accomplish. And I want to just close the Q&A by thanking all the participants, especially the brave young voices and the panelists. And so thank you all so much for being here, and I'd like to hand it over to Shauna Tonkin.
I don't know about you, but this gives me chill bumps. It's been a terrific symposium, and I'm so grateful that you took time to spend this with us today. And I'm hoping that just like this young girl who has made a commitment to look forward with peace and to really work for that, I hope that you will mark this day as the beginning of a new commitment for you. So thank you again for coming, and thank you so much for our presenters.